Blendtec is committed to partnering with our customers to create successful drink programs. We are prepared to help customize your drink program at our headquarters location. If your company has already taken part in this service, you may still need to adjust some of the settings. If at any time you would like to restore your machine back to the factory default settings, then press 444 Go. Then press Go a second time to confirm the setting. Before you do any programming on the machine, you'll want to get a copy of the drink programming template at the back of your manual. Be aware that the initial setup and calibration of the machines will involve some wasted product, but it will make up for itself in the long run. Calibration and programming at first can be a time-consuming process. Feel free to call a Blendtec representative for assistance at any time. There are three main functions to programming your drinks in these machines: drink size, blend cycles, and recipe creation. The Blendtec blender has the capacity to automatically calculate the medium and large recipes from the small recipe you specify. These settings can be adjusted by pressing 7, 8, 8, and Go. These settings are defaulted at the factory for 12, 18, and 24 ounces. You'll be prompted to enter the size in ounces of your small drink. Press Go when complete. You will now be prompted to enter the size of your medium drink, and then press Go again. Repeat the steps for the large drink size, and then press Stop twice to exit this menu. All your recipes for your small size will now be automatically proportioned to their medium and large equivalents by pressing the M or L key before making your drink. There are 6 standard blend cycles programmed in the default Blendtec blender machines. You can change these cycles or add up to 4 more of your own at any time. We recommend that you assess the pre-programmed cycles before creating your own. There is a description of these cycles included in the manual, or you can also see them on our website at blendtec.com. Press 790 Go to access the blend cycle menu. While within this menu, you can press M to scroll forward through the 10 blend cycles, or S to scroll backwards. Cycles 1 through 6 are the pre-programmed settings. Once you've decided which cycle you would like to change, you can determine the speed and timing for each segment of that cycle. There are 9 speeds available, and each speed can be programmed for a maximum of 15 seconds per cycle segment. We do not recommend going over speed 7 except in very specialized circumstances. Confirm your selections by pressing Go. If you need to backtrack through the cycle segments, you can use the L key. As a general rule, you will usually want to extend the speed of your final segment by 5 or 6 seconds. You will have the ability to control the length of the actual blend cycle in the following menu. Press Stop twice to exit this menu when finished. If at any time you would like to restore the blend cycle settings, press 445 Go. Press 789 Go. The drink creation menu consists of time measurement specifications for water, ice, blend cycles, and times. There's a capacity of 64 menu items which you can scroll through by pressing S and backwards by pressing M. Within each menu item, you can move forward through the water, ice, and blend options by using the Go key or backwards by using the L key. To calibrate the water, we will create a menu item that dispenses for 10 seconds. If you are not already on Drink 1, use the S, M, L, and Go keys until the display reads Drink 1 and Water. To enter a time of 10 seconds, we have to enter 100 Go, as the timed measurements are in tenths of a second. With a clean jar in the blending station, press 1 Go. Because of the settings we created above, the machine should dispense water for 10 seconds. Remove the jar and set it on a flat surface. Observe the amount of water pumped, then divide that quantity by 10. Write down this number. This is the amount of water that is dispensed per second. To calibrate the ice, we will create a menu item that dispenses the ice for 5 seconds. In this case, we will use drink number 10. When you arrive at the ice menu item, set it to dispense for 5 seconds by pressing 50 Go. Once you've completed this process, return to the Enter Drink Number screen by pressing Stop twice. When calibrating the ice, it may be better to weigh your findings instead of trying to see it through the markings on the jar. If you have a scale available, zero out an empty jar on the scale. Then run menu item 10 with the jar in place, weigh again, and divide the results by 5 to arrive at the amount of ice dispensed per second. If you don't have a scale, make an educated guess by taking the quantity of ice dispensed in the jar and dividing it by 2. Then divide that number by 5. Once you have all of your calibration recorded, you're now ready to program your drinks. Now you can create your blended drink menu and assign a number to each menu item. Generally speaking, product suppliers provide recipe formulations with their products. With the information we just recorded, it should now be a matter of typing the recipe into your drink programming menu. Again, this menu is accessed by pressing 789 Go. Let's say for your first menu item, the product supplier recipe calls for 4 ounces of the product. Go ahead and manually pour 4 ounces into the jar. Your water calibrated at 1 ounce per second, and the recipe calls for 3 ounces of water. So set your water to pump for 3 seconds by pressing 30 Go on your first drink water setting. Ice dispensed at 1 ounce per second, and the recipe calls for 5 ounces of ice. Set the ice to 5 seconds by pressing 50 Go. Now you can program the blender for this recipe. You should have a blender cycle created or pre-programmed at this time. You will enter your settings in full seconds rather than tenths of a second. Set the S time to your desired blending time and the S cycle to your predetermined cycle. For the meantime, repeat these settings for your M time, M cycle, L time, and L cycle settings. Pause is the amount of time the ice or the water falls into the jar before the blender starts to blend. As a general guideline, the more ice your drink has, the sooner you will want the blender to start blending. With our recipe outlined above, let's set the pause for 3 seconds. So press 3 Go to confirm this setting. You've just programmed your first menu item. Now press Stop twice to return to your drink selection screen. Now make sure there's a jar in the blending station and press 1 Go. Watch and make sure you're getting enough water and ice in the jar. If you don't see one of the ingredients dispensing, follow the instructions in the last section to make sure your recipe is correct. Also pay attention to the way the drink blends. Once the blender stops, remove the jar and set it on a flat surface. Make sure the drink created the appropriate number of ounces in the jar. The first thing you want to check for is the consistency of the drink. If the drink exceeds what it should and is extremely thick, reduce the ice settings by a small amount. If the blend is right, but still too much, proportionally decrease all the settings. If the blend is too wet, then decrease the water settings. Conversely, if the drink does not fill to your desired size, increase the individual settings to get the drink to the appropriate size. The exception to this rule comes when blending alcoholic beverages. Never increase the prescribed amount of alcohol in your blended drinks. Use a combination of juice and water to change the consistency instead. The way the drink blends can also give you some ideas on the consistency of a product. If the drink splashes excessively around in the jar, you will need to decrease your liquids or increase the ice. The opposite of this is called cavitation. This is when an air pocket has formed around the blade area. In this case, either decrease the ice settings or increase your liquids according to what size results you have. If the consistency is bordering in being too thick or being too thin, you might also change the final blend speed to adjust to your mixture. Once you've established a good product consistency, make sure the length of the blend cycle is the right length. If the consistency is good, but there's still a few ice chunks in the mix, increase the blend cycle a few seconds. This situation arises more often when increasing the recipe size to a medium or a large drink. In this case, you have the option of lengthening the blend cycle for the individual sizes in your programming menu. You can increase or decrease the timing of the blend cycles within the programming menu without affecting the cycle itself. Extending the cycle time beyond its original programming will start the cycle over from the beginning. Now that you have achieved a good consistency, you can focus on the taste. If the drink is too watered down, proportionally decrease the water and increase the product. If the taste is too strong, increase the water and decrease the product. Again, when making alcoholic beverages, only change the quantity of the product. The alcohol level must remain consistent. Once the size, consistency, and taste are correct, record your recipe on the drink programming template.